Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. Today we're here with the Vampire Coast, gonna be taking on the High Elves, so let's get to it. Let's not forget, over in the corner here, I've got a Bloody Boy hidden in the woods, a couple of Hounds out in Vanguard as well, then we've got double Necrofex here, including the Fire, the Gun Hero Triangle, and a couple of zombies. I say a couple. We've got some halberds, some handguns, and the Black Spot. And yeah, right off the bat, the Illyrian Reavers for my opponent are going to come forward here and bump into old Bloody Boy here, which is not the best for me. It's only a 500 point unit of cav, and ooh, does less than half their HP and damage, so not the best value there. But as for the rest, we've got Tyrion here, great choice. Heaven's Mage on a Chariot, also very good. Plenty of Lothern Seaguard, White Lions, and Spearmen kind of mixed here. Any of them deployed up on the high ground. You can see they're already taking damage from that Gallows Giant. So, a few of you have been asking me recently whether the Gallows Giant is actually good or not. And I think that it's probably very, very strong option, if not essential in some certain matchups. What is it good for versus the regular Necrofex? Well, obviously it has the flamethrower attack. It has basically infinite ammo, not quite. It says it only has 22 ammunition, but in reality, because of the way that the damage works, it actually has quite a bit of ammunition. It used to, in the past, not deal very much damage in practice, but now, I mean, they fixed it a few patches ago, and then as well, some of the recent changes to explosion and flaming damage have made it even that much stronger. You can see likewise as well, it does have a pretty good melee splash attack here. If we have a look, it's quite literally just a fountain of flame, and does reasonably well against infantry especially, but cavalry also. You can see the Gun Hero Triangle just kind of firing in here, the regular Necrofex shooting out, getting onto those Lothern Seaguard, doing a great job. The regular Necrofex obviously has much longer range, but does have more limited ammunition, and, you know, obviously doesn't have the Regiment of Round status for the extra stats and so on. This one also has much higher weapon strength in melee, the Gallows Giant, as well as an anti-infantry bonus, plus that flaming effect, of course, does fire damage properly, and also, yeah, bonus versus infantry with the leadership effect of that burnt as well, which can be quite useful. Meanwhile, over on the low ground, zombies have just been kind of bogging this area down, dying slowly, which is kind of their role here. The Gun Hero, or the Gun Admiral, I should say, is having to consistently use zombie summons because I don't actually have that many zombies to defend, because double Necrofex is quite expensive. We're having to use zombie summons to kind of hold this area up here. My opponent trying to grind through with some of these forces, but definitely going to be a relatively long battle. You can see the Necrofex starting to use up quite a bit of its ammunition, just this regular one here. I definitely like the regular Necrofex, obviously against heavy cavalry it's very strong, and also against archers, just because it can kind of fire at long range. The Gallows Giant, on the other hand, I really like against infantry rush builds, which, I mean, obviously, like super wide shielded infantry rush from something like the Warriors of Chaos, or you know, even Dark Elves, something like that. I have quite a few replays on my channel of myself using the Gallows Giant in situations like that. Looks like he's actually having a hard time firing there, but a beautiful wind blast there from my opponent. He's been throwing a few wind blasts there with that Heaven's Mage. She's up to 113, 123 kills so far, so I have missed a few of those beautiful wind blasts, but yeah, good stuff so far. I think finally this Fire Necrofex is going to fire into the flank here, and actually mostly just do friendly fire to those zombies who promptly disintegrate there. That's fine. Meanwhile, up here, the Gun Crab Triangle still doing consistent DPS. They are starting to run about halfway on ammunition, but of course the Gunnery Whites still have plenty of refresh. But this is the thing about the Gun Hero Triangle, and something you guys will hear me talk about when I use it. When a target like Tyrion, or really anyone, comes in to attack any of the three, the other two can kind of turn and shoot here. You can see one of them, unfortunately, is kind of bogged up in an infantry fight right now, but we're going to summon some more zombies here on this second one so that he can make sure he stays free. I do take quite a bit of damage from Tyrion there, but the Fire Necrofex also comes in to distract, get a few hits, and unfortunately for Tyrion, he gets shot up and gets terrified away there, so that's a bit rough. But yeah, so far so good. Balance power starting to grind in my favor slowly. It's definitely a very patient game here at this point. The Heaven's Mage continuing to cycle charge. Of course, the Black Spot with their anti-large will do okay there, but they can't really pin down a Chariot to do damage to it, so a bit rough. We are bringing the Hounds up and around now to try and soak some more bodies in here and just, you know, continue to try and wrap up some of these tattered units in the late game. Tyrion did come back from getting terrified with his Heart of Avalorn proc there, but again, just getting consistently shot up by those gun crabs. Just a little bit too much there, and oh man, you see how it just melted my own infantry there. Yeah, the Fire Necrovex definitely very strong against light infantry, even heavy infantry. I mean, the missile attack, just because of the way that the explosion damage works, does a ton of damage. So, which situations would I bring each one? You know, is this thing just a meme? I don't think so. I think it's actually really strong, as I mentioned. Matchups where I would bring it would probably be any faction where you're expecting a potential infantry rush. Something like, let's see. Dark Elves, as I mentioned, Chaos and Norska both. They can be potentially very good there, although Norska can be a little bit risky because of Javelins, potentially. Yeah, Dark Elves. It even can be good against Lizardmen. Just most factions where you expect an infantry rush. Even a faction like High Elves. The regular Necrofex, I think, is a little bit of a better pick against factions where you're expecting, like, a mass archer rush. Say, like, High Elves can do that sometimes. Obviously, Bretonia can kind of go in that direction a little bit. Maybe Wood Elves, where you're expecting more of a mid-ranged kind of infantry skirmishers. I think that the regular Necrofex is going to be a little bit better, but the Gallows Giant, definitely great at countering those infantry rush builds, which sometimes can give Vampire Coast some headaches. So yeah, you can see the zombies are pretty much gone completely at this point, but we do still have the 3 crabs completely healthy. This Necrofex is out of ammo, but we can continue to give it more, and of course, it's also pretty decent in melee against infantry. You can see it blowing up a few of those Lothern Seaguard there, so yeah. Oh man, that Fire Necrofex just roasting through some of these High Elf archers and Lothern Seaguard and so on. So yeah, doing good so far. And the other consideration as well is the leadership effect. So against a faction like Skaven can be pretty risky because of their, you know, their own artillery and ranged units. But something like Beastmen or Greenskins, you can get some really good value from the Gallows Giant because of that leadership effect as well. Those also are 2 factions which may try an infantry rush you. Beastmen especially, and Greenskins to a degree as well, with the all Vanguard infantry rush can be a bit scary. Greenskins, you do have to be careful. Orc Air Boys are a pretty big danger to the shorter range of the Regiment of Renowned Necrofex, but both are exceptionally useful, and both kind of have their roles. Again, the Necrofex, the regular one being more of an anti-cav, and the Gallows Giant definitely specializing in anti-infantry, but also being decent against cavalry. Yeah, worked out pretty well for my part. All 3 of the gun heroes racked up quite a few kills, as did the Necrofex. Both the Necrofex, as you can see here, racked up a ton of kills. Most of the heavy lifting for my army was done by them. Scurvy Dogs did come in the late game and get a little bit of work done. Pretty sad about the bloated boy there. But yeah, for my opponent, a really decent high elf build, all things considered, going up against Vampire Coast. Tyrion is actually a really nice niche pick here. Because the Necrofex, Necrophyses are so bad at fighting characters on horseback because of their splash attack animations, Tyrion actually is a really nice niche pick. He can definitely take them down, but you know, the triple gun crab kind of counters him in a way as well. So I'll have to kind of think about that from the high elf side. I love the Heaven's Mage on the Chariot as well. She was able to get a ton of work done. Unfortunately, just couldn't quite break through there. I mean, obviously the terrain played a big part of that. You know, on a more open map, I don't think I would have gotten surrounded and ground down pretty quickly there. I don't know that I would have been able to take double Necrofex on a more open map, but on that map with some of its more restricted choke points and different areas there, you can definitely try and make it work. So, yeah, pretty decent stuff. I'm continuing to work on my new player faction guide, like my picking a faction guide. Should be up actually tomorrow by the time you guys are seeing this. So, hopefully that gets done on time. If you guys want to see some more guide-focused content, be sure to like and subscribe, of course, for more battle replays as well. Yeah, go ahead and share it with your friends if you found this video fun or informative. Thank you once again, and we'll see you next time.